quite late last night, a rumour started doing the rounds that Julian Lopetegui, whilst he would quite like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he wasn't prepared to stick around. It's more important to Lopetegui to get his players in, get them ready for the start of the season. He doesn't want any transfer deadline day shenanigans or anything like that, which is completely and utterly understandable. There was a time 2-3 weeks ago where you may remember we did a video because the story was starting to emerge that Lopetegui said, look, I don't care whether it's Kyle Walker-Peters or Aaron Wan-Bissaka, just get me somebody. Now, I reported it, we did a video on it. I wasn't sure how much I believed in that because it didn't make any sense. They were two very, very different players, weren't they? One of them had more attacking qualities. One of them, in terms of Obi Wan-Bissaka, had more defensive qualities. But it's taken a long time to do any sort of deal with Manchester United. I'm not going to go over and rehash stuff that I've discussed over the last 2 or 3 days, but Darmashef has just done an update and basically said there remains an eagerness on all parties to get a deal done for Wan-Bissaka. I mean, that is the same old tune that we've been hearing for some days now. It changes slightly, but it's a scratch record, isn't it? And I just listened to what he's saying. I'm not digging him out. Anyone could have said the same thing. Absolutely anyone. But he's pretty much saying there's an eagerness and a keenness on all sides to get the deal done. Well, the deal would be done, wouldn't it? Because, look, if I want to sell you something and you want to buy it and we're both keen to get it done, we just do the deal, right? I think when you're not, and when there's a disparity in the price, I don't think you can say, well, we're keen to get the deal done, because that's, as I mentioned before, that's like me saying, well, I'd like to buy that Ferrari, please. I'm really keen to get it done. Here's $3,000. Well, it ain't going to happen. And I wonder if we got to a point, really, where there's just such a stalemate that Lopetegui has changed his mind. And that was pretty much the story last night. So there's breaking news today, breaking news as of within the last hour, that West Ham have switched their attentions to a player called Arnau Martínez. Now, you may well be aware of him. He played quite a prominent role for Girona last season. And they finished third. I think it was third. Yeah, third possibly in La Liga, which was pretty damn impressive, really. In fact, there was a point where we were actually looking at their manager, who did a remarkable job. That they'd been up there for pretty much most of the season, and I think a lot of people had expected them to tail off. But it never happened. So, remarkable season from them. And basically one of their, can you say, Wonderkids, that's an overused term, I understand that, but was Martínez. Now, he's a right back who can also play as a centre-half. He's 6 foot tall and looks to be technically very, very good. However, there's something very interesting about this player, and that is he has a £20 million release clause. Now, I'm not going to pretend any different and sit here and say that I knew anything about this player before today. I didn't. But I've done me a little bit of research. I found out a little bit about him. He was originally at Barcelona's academy. Eventually, so obviously Barcelona and Girona, they're both Catalonian clubs. Eventually went to Girona, played for Girona B. He's played 100 odd times for the main side, and he's highly sought after. Having seen what type of player is he, well, he looks like he can do a bit of both, and you've only got to watch him for a little while, and he's pretty much 2-footed, which is quite impressive from the bits and pieces I've seen. Anyway, and I think the other thing about him is that he looks a little bit more technical. Now, if you've watched West Ham in pre-season, we've obviously muddled around to try and get someone playing at right back up until the point where Vladimir Coufal came back. He's not been good. He's not been impressive. We mentioned the tactical differences a couple of days ago as to under David Moyes, he was allowed to launch it down the line over the top for Bowen to run onto. You're not allowed to do, it appears, you're not allowed to do that hopeful hoof down the line anymore under Lopetegui. He wants something different to happen. So his out ball, his ball that Coufal would play when he's pressed and when he's under pressure doesn't seem to be permitted. He's discouraged from doing it. So he's got to now play a tighter, more technical game. He needs to be able to move the ball quickly between his feet. Sometimes it may well be that he's got to move it inside and pass with his left foot, stuff like that. A little bit of give and go, triangles. He just can't do it. Which did lead me to question, well, hold on a second. Whilst I would concede that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is probably better than Coufal at that, it's not really his game, is it? We are back with sort of Kyle Walker-Peters. Now, I was never sure whether we'd actually bid for Mazraoui as a genuine attempt to buy him, or we were just trying to annoy Manchester United into selling us Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I'm still none the wiser on that score, it has to be said. But again, he was a very, very different type player, completely versatile. Yes, he was injury prone, but he could play almost anywhere across the back line. You could play him right midfield. You could even play him left midfield. Really good player. Now, this guy, Martinez, whilst he is primarily a right back, he does look two-footed. He can play at centre back, and dare I say, looks far closer to Mazraoui than Aaron Wan-Bissaka would, for instance. He looks a little bit more technical as well. Looks to be able to shift the ball well between his feet. To cut a long story short, he looks like a decent player. West Ham appear to be into him. There's certain reports are emerging now. I'm pretty sure as I'm recording this video and uploading it, they're gonna, there's gonna be even more of them there for you to read and go and look. And one of the reports, let me just click this up. I don't want to paraphrase it. I want to get it just right here. Basically, the report says that Lopetegui is intent. He's basically decided. I'm just trying to find it here for you now. Somewhere in there, I probably am going to have to paraphrase. Oh, no, there we go. Julian Lopetegui is very clear that he wants to go for Girona's Arnau Martínez. Lopetegui is very clear. It goes on to say that Hammers officials have already had contact with Martinez's agents, which is all you need to do. If there's a buyout clause, that's really all you need to do. But Lopetegui's instructed it, and I think that's interesting. Because they're unrelated, the two stories. They're completely different sources, and the sources have come from Spain with this Martinez one. Whereas only yesterday, we were hearing that actually he wasn't prepared to wait too long for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. The player's going to be he's going to be known to Lopetegui because he's a Spaniard himself. So he's going to know all about all the best young up-and-coming players. He's played under 21 6-7 times. Under 21, he's played right back for Spain as well. It's a good, young, promising player. Looks to be really, really good. In many respects, possibly... Look, I've got nothing wrong with Wan-Bissaka. He's got a great name. We can call him Obi Wan-Bissaka and all the rest of it. I think he's a good defender. I think he's good. I think it'd be a big improvement. And in many respects, West Ham are leaking too many goals. Maybe it is a defensive defender that we need. But this guy, it looks like he can do both. And I think that's probably more what we'd be looking for. And if what we're going to do is try and get the best out of Nicholas Füllkrug, if that's what we're going to try and do, then you're going to need crosses into the box, and everything we know about Lopetegui indicates that's the wing. It's not the wingers that do that necessarily. It's the fullbacks that do that in his system. With that in mind, an attacking player at fullback and at right back becomes more important. We've got it sorted out at left back. We don't have to worry about that. Although, funny enough, we have been linked with another left back today. I don't know how much truth there is in that. Very, very interesting though. So, yeah, I guess watch this space. There could be the other thing, which is we're just bidding for this player or being linked with this player in a bid to hurry up Manchester United. But we're not adverse to playing games. We did it with Mazraoui and we did it with Duran. The whole Füllkrug thing. But what the Füllkrug thing has armed us with something, and that is belief. There was a point when we were still in for Duran and we got linked with Füllkrug, and I said, if I was Aston Villa, I'd say, go on then, we'll call your bluff, you go and sign him. Well, do you know what we did? We did. Fooled me, absolutely. Would have fooled Aston Villa as well. They wouldn't have been expecting that to happen. We absolutely called their bluff, or they called our bluff. I'm not sure which way it is, but you know what I mean? But basically, we showed that we were not just talking the talk, we walked the walk on that one. So now, I think it's a little bit more believable. So if we are in for this Martinez, then we have to be prepared to see it through. And you know what? If we do that, I would not blame us, because I think possibly the old criticism of West Ham, which is we don't get transfer deals done, you just can't really level that at us anymore. Before, it was always easy to think that actually it was West Ham that was the problem. Actually, bearing in mind we signed Guilherme, bearing in mind we signed Somerville, that was a bit of a tricky negotiation, but we got it done with Leeds. We got it done, right? We showed that we were flexible. They had payment terms, they had a buyout clause. We sorted that out. They wanted it all paid in one lump sum for 25 million. We agreed to pay it at 26 million plus a £350,000 extra fee. We've shown that we're flexible. So we could deal with Palmeiras. We could deal with Leeds. We've shown that. We could deal with free agents. So we've shown that here with my mate Wes and, of course, Guido Rodriguez. We've shown that we can deal with Borussia Dortmund. There's enough evidence showing that we can deal with Wolverhampton Wanderers. There's enough evidence to show that we can deal with other clubs. Aston Villa became too tricky to negotiate with. But bearing in mind we've got all those other deals, I think that's hard to then say, why, as West Ham being funny. Well, you know what? But one thing we do know is that Manchester United are tricky to negotiate with. We've had it, as I said before, with Lingard, McTominay, with Harry Maguire. But there comes a point where if you're dealing with those tricky clubs, particularly this is all new West Ham with a whole new way of negotiating, there comes a point where you've got to walk away. And I do wonder if we're putting the pressure on. But do not be surprised if at some point within the next 24, 48 hours we have some resolution on this. That is either we sign Wan-Bissaka or we pull out completely, if you pardon the expression, and we go for Martinez.